With the turning of the years comes a quiet revelation. Peace is not a gift, but a garden we must tend and protect. In the spring of our lives, we exhaust ourselves trying to please, to be understood, to explain our every choice. But as the seasons change, a gentle truth settles in. Not every question deserves an answer, and not every storm deserves our energy. This is the heart of what it means to be unbothered. It is not a fortress of pride or a shield of coldness. It is wisdom. It is the understanding that a calm detachment is the highest form of self-respect. For when you cease to react to every ripple in the water, when you stop explaining and simply begin to live, you discover a freedom you never knew existed. Many kind, generous, and soft-hearted souls I have met struggle with this idea. They fear that to be unbothered is to become distant. But it is not about shutting the world out. It is about tuning out the noise. You have already lived decades proving your worth. Now is the time to prove something to yourself, that you are worthy of serenity. Today, we will explore the art of remaining untroubled by intrusive questions, because no matter how warm or polite people may seem, some doors are not meant to be opened. Not because you hold secrets, but because your peace is too precious to be disturbed. It begins with learning to shield our private world from questions that seek to measure and compare. The first of these is often about money. What is your pension? How much do you have saved? You would be surprised how this question weaves its way into casual conversation, sometimes from a curious relative at a family dinner, other times from a neighbor who wants to weigh their life against yours. Consider the story of Harold, a retired postal worker who had saved wisely his entire life. During a neighborhood barbecue, he was asked about his pension. Wanting to be friendly, he shared the details of his finances. A few weeks later, that same neighbor began pitching investment deals, urging him to buy into a scheme that promised grand returns. It was a scam, and it cost Harold a significant portion of his life's savings. This is why financial privacy is sacred. When someone asks about your finances, you owe them nothing. A calm, quiet response like, "I manage just fine," is enough. You are not being rude, you are being wise. Money attracts opinions, envy, and manipulation. In the autumn of life, peace of mind is a currency far more valuable than any number in a bank account. Another question, one that often cuts far deeper, is about the success of our children. So, how are your children doing? Older parents often carry the invisible weight of their children's lives. Perhaps your son did not become the doctor everyone expected, or your daughter is still finding her way. Or perhaps they are thriving, but speaking of it feels like building a wall of comparison between you and others. A woman named Grace once told me how, at a reunion, a cousin relentlessly compared her son to his own children, with their fancy jobs and expensive cars. Grace smiled politely, but later admitted the exchange left a bitter taste. She felt a pang of shame, not for her son, but for the toxicity of comparison. Her son was a good man, kind and hardworking, and that was all that mattered. When someone asks about your children's success, remember that your worth is not measured by their career titles. Every soul walks its own path. The best response is one of quiet pride. They are doing what makes them happy. Because true success is not about status, it is about living a life of meaning. Then there is the question, are you still working, or do you just stay home? That little word, just, carries a sting, doesn't it? Our society often equates busyness with purpose, as if rest were a synonym for laziness. But retirement is not an ending. It is a well-earned season of renewal. For some, fulfillment is found in gardening or volunteering. For others, it is in the quiet joy of watching birds from a window or sharing tea with a friend. You owe no one an explanation for how you spend the gift of your time. A retired teacher, Mrs. Nguyen, once felt guilty for simply enjoying her home, tending to her plants while her friends were busy with committees. When a friend teased her about needing to get out more, she smiled and said, "I spent 40 years shaping young minds. Now I am shaping my own peace." That is the heart of being unbothered. You do not defend your choices. You inhabit them with quiet confidence. These are not mere questions about money, children, or time. They are tests of your boundaries. The unbothered response is not anger, but a calm and graceful refusal to let the outside world disturb your inner sanctuary. Beyond these intrusions, there are questions that beckon us toward the turbulent waters of drama. Consider the question, what do you really think of your son's partner? This is a dangerous current disguised as innocent curiosity. An honest answer, once spoken, can travel far, often returning to wound the ones you love. An older father, Mr. Collins, once confessed to a neighbor that he wasn't sure his daughter's new partner was good enough for her. A week later, his words found their way back to his daughter, straining their relationship for years. He learned a hard lesson. When asked for such an opinion, it is wise to remain neutral. A simple, "I trust their judgment," or "they seem happy together," protects your child's autonomy and your own peace. And then there is gossip, the oldest form of entertainment and the most corrosive to the soul. Did you hear what happened to? It wears down the spirit in small, imperceptible ways. A kind-hearted woman at my local senior center confided that after her afternoon chats, she would go home feeling anxious. The conversations were a constant litany of who was sick, whose marriage was failing, whose children were struggling. None of it brought her joy, so she made a change. She still greeted everyone warmly, but when the gossip began, she would quietly excuse herself. Within weeks, her mood lifted, her sleep deepened, her mornings felt lighter. When you refuse to participate in gossip, you are not being unfriendly, you are protecting your soul. Peace is a garden that flourishes in quiet soil. Finally, we face the challenge of requests that are too demanding. Can you help me with? For those who have spent a lifetime giving, saying no can feel like a betrayal. But it is not selfishness, it is wisdom. An elderly neighbor, Tom, strained his back so badly, helping a friend move a couch that he could barely walk for weeks. He didn't want to disappoint anyone. He learned afterward that helping others should not come at the cost of harming yourself. When your body whispers that something is too much, listen. It is far better to say, "I'm not sure I can manage that safely," and suggest another way. This is not coldness, it is self-preservation. Learning to say no is a powerful form of being unbothered. It means you begin to care smartly, choosing where to give your energy, keeping yourself healthy for the moments that truly matter. And then there are the questions that, quietly and without malice, simply drain the well of our energy. As we age, our emotional energy becomes a finite, precious resource, a lantern that no longer burns with the boundless flame of youth. To be unbothered is to learn to say, "My peace comes first." Consider the pressure of social obligations. Why don't you come out more? While staying social is healthy, it should not feel like a job. Helen, a retired nurse, used to attend every neighborhood event, afraid of seeming antisocial. She soon realized she came home more tired than happy, the endless small talk feeling like emotional labor. So she pared back her commitments to a gardening club and a book group, the two things that truly fed her soul. Her energy returned. Her smile became genuine again. This is the beauty of maturity. You no longer need to prove you belong everywhere. A simple, "I enjoy my peace at home," is a complete answer. The same is true of digital pressure. Why don't you reply faster? In an age of constant connection, the endless stream of messages and notifications can shatter our mental calm. An older gentleman named Robert found that the stress of hundreds of notifications each morning was robbing him of his peace. He deleted most of the apps, choosing to check messages just twice a week. He still talked to his family, but on his terms, not on the internet's schedule. Being unbothered in the digital age means choosing presence over constant interaction. You can be the master of the tool, not its servant. Perhaps most draining of all is the question, what do you think about this political or religious issue? Such discussions rarely lead to understanding. They lead to arguments. A retired pastor once shared a profound insight. People rarely want your opinion. They want confirmation of their own. So he stopped debating. When controversial topics arose, he would simply say, "I can see there are strong feelings on both sides," and let the conversation move on. This is not ignorance. It is emotional intelligence. Silence does not mean you are uninformed. It means you are wise enough to value peace over victory. You cannot calm the world, but you can calm your own mind. To live unbothered is to practice a kind of emotional minimalism, keeping only what nourishes the soul. Just as you would clear a cluttered room, you must learn to simplify a cluttered heart, letting go of the noise and holding fast to what matters. This calm detachment has tangible benefits. Studies show it can lower blood pressure, improve sleep, and strengthen the heart. You literally live longer by caring less about the wrong things. Of course, some may misunderstand. They may call you quiet, detached, or even cold. Do not let that trouble you. Those who truly see you will understand it as sanctuary. A woman named Maria told me her friends complained she no longer answered every call. She smiled and said, "I'm not ignoring anyone. I'm just listening to my own soul for a change." That is what peace looks like. A stillness that feels full, not empty. It means accepting that not every relationship needs to be repaired, and not every battle needs to be fought. We have spent a lifetime striving, raising families, building careers, weathering storms. Now is the time to tend the inner garden, to choose peace over performance, to say no without guilt, to protect your quiet mornings and soft evenings. This is not indifference. It is caring deeply, but selectively, from a place of calm, not chaos. Every time you pause before answering an intrusive question, you are not being passive. You are being powerful. You are choosing inner balance. In our later years, peace is not the absence of problems, but the quiet strength to not let every problem touch our heart. It is the ability to say, "I don't need to answer that. I don't need to prove anything. I just need to live well." Take time to savor the small, quiet joys, the sound of birds at dawn, the warmth of a pet, a cup of tea shared in silence. And when the world comes with its endless demands, smile gently and let them pass. Because in the end, you do not owe the world your explanations. You owe yourself your serenity. And that is what it truly means to be unbothered.